That's a poster.
James Harden, there may be a little Draymond Green in your beard.
Oh! Oh!
That was just part of a wildly entertaining game, by far the best of the conference finals round so far, and a completely wild and frenetic finish in Oakland as the Houston Rockets tie up the series at 2 games apiece with a 95-92 win. They end the Warriors' 16-game home postseason win streak. This was their first loss at home since Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals, a game with which David Griffin is very familiar.
No, not at all.
That's Isaiah Thomas right there. I'm Matt. Good to have you with us. You just want to jump in here? This was all, there's so many elements here in the final few minutes.
I thought, so 2 takeaways for me from this game. Houston's defense. I mean, their defense was just fantastic tonight. Their energy, their effort, their commitment to defend was unlike anything that I've ever seen a Rockets team play, this current Rockets team play with. The second takeaway was, Paul and Harden. I thought this was kind of like a legacy game for both of them. And I thought both of them stepped up. We talked about Harden having to step up, and he came out and did what he had to do. I thought for Paul, it was like, one of the biggest games that he's ever had in his career. Winning a game like this on the road, weathering, Curry's, his flame that he started throwing in terms of shooting the 3-ball. But I just thought Paul, he was tough. He made shots when he had to. He did all the big things in the game. And, if you want to talk about a big win in a statement game, this is probably, to me, the biggest win of Chris Paul's professional career, winning this game here tonight.
I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, he's never been to this stage of the playoffs before, for one, and this was, for all intents and purposes, I think most people felt like a do-or-die kind of game. Going down 3-1 against Golden State would have been bad, to say the least. Let's get into some of the strategy here late in the game, because this is going to be talked about ad nauseum over the next 48 hours or so. First of all, the decision by Steve Kerr not to call timeout here. Warriors down by 2, and personally, I'm fine with not calling it here because you've got sort of chaos happening. But once Klay Thompson is bottled up in the corner, why wouldn't you call it there?
Yeah, there's better than 5 seconds left when he gets the ball in the corner and is completely stymied. I'm really surprised they didn't get it called, and maybe they were trying to. Maybe Steve's calling it from the – I don't know. You can't see obviously, from the angle we get here.
Right.
But it was shocking to me they didn't give themselves a chance there. Not quite as shocking, though, is CP making this free throw, giving them the chance to actually draw something up in a timeout. If he misses the free throw, I'm not sure they can secure a rebound and call timeout fast enough.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, making the free throw. But how about the look that, Steph Curry gets, in the corner, and he's deadly from the corner in these situations. I thought Golden State, the last 5 minutes of the game, they lost their poise, they lost who they were, they lost their identity offensively and defensively. They did not look like the champion that was playing at home. They looked like a team that was frantic and kind of out of control the last 5 minutes of the game, which really shocked me in terms of their last 5 minutes, the way they played. But on the other hand, you got to give Houston a lot of credit for the way that they made Golden State play in that fourth quarter. I think all the credit goes to Houston for making Golden State look the way they did.
That this is the highest level defense that his team has played so far this season.
I've never seen this Rockets group this year or last year play a defensive game like they played tonight, with this type of intensity, this type of aggression, this type of commitment. And I really can't say enough good things about Chris Paul in terms of stepping up to the moment, and not only stepping up to the moment, but honoring it and putting on a jersey and then going out and giving a great performance. Again, we talk about, it was Harden's time and everything else, but for me, this moment was more about Chris Paul than anybody, and man, did he ever deliver. Not only did he deliver, and, we were all back in the back. When Steph Curry got hot, I mean, and I'm a Steph Curry fan, right? So I'm running around. Oh, Steph Curry's hot. Yeah, he's shooting it from half court. The cat's out of the box. You came in, the cat's out of the box, right?
Cat.
Hey, well, Chris Paul found a way to get the cat back in the box, and it wasn't a 35, 40-point performance that Steph Curry ended up going off and getting. It was one that Chris Paul was able to match, and I just thought, you know, Paul was beautiful tonight, and, you know, my hat's off to him, you know, because this was a huge game for him.
Steph Curry said something really interesting there that may explain some things we've seen on the floor from the Warriors at times during this series. We have to understand, and this last part's a quote, this is now a real playoff-type experience. As if, you know, they realize that, okay, we've been the Warriors, and frankly, sometimes this has been a little easy for us, but the Rockets, they may have our attention now.
Well, the Rockets should have everyone's attention. And even though, you know, the Rockets are the favorite in this series, they won 65 games. They have home court advantage. They came into this series still feeling like they were the underdog. And I thought they approached game one a little bit like the underdog. I thought the Rockets came out tonight and established themselves as the favorite. Like, we are the team that won the most games in the regular season. We have the MVP of the regular season. We're the best team. And by the way, we've also added Chris Paul, who's going to give us the defensive intensity and leadership that we need. And all of that came into play tonight. And I think for the first time, Golden State saw all of that, recognized it, and said, oh, this is who they are.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah, and by the way, I think this was the first night that the Rockets said, okay, this is who we are. We always thought this is who we could be, but tonight I thought that team showed up in terms of this is who we are, this is what we were supposed to be offensively and defensively.
It's really fascinating when you look at the Warriors season in totality. Complacency's been their biggest enemy. Houston was the favorite only in seeding. They weren't the Vegas favorite by a long shot. And I think most everybody got to the point where they just expect Golden State to flip the switch and just dominate when they decide to. And most notably, Golden State believed that.
Yep.
And that's what Steve kept addressing when he was addressing those lulls in mental focus when they would turn the ball over. 7 turns in the first 5 minutes of game 3, or game 2. They can't do that anymore. And I think to your point, they recognized it for the first time tonight.
Yeah.
That those jokers are legit.
Yeah.
And they're not going away, and we can't just take this for granted. So it'll be really exciting to see if physically they have enough left in the tank to take advantage of that awareness.
Yeah. It was an interesting point that, and there's this line of questioning with the Warriors in particular about minutes and the effect on the rotation for obvious reasons, because Andre Iguodala was not available tonight. Houston only played 7 players in this game, and we were talking off air about how they looked like the fresher team at the end of this game. The Warriors, whether it's because of the disruption in the rotation or whatever, were not very good in the fourth quarter. The Rockets were just a much better team late in this game.
They played, I thought, with a level of urgency that Golden State really didn't, but they also played like a team without 2 guards with strained knees, right? So Klay Thompson leaves the game. They have to be concerned about what that looks like. Steph obviously coming back from his injury, Iguodala not being available. Golden State's starting to take a few shots here now. And I really believe all of the conference finals and the finals become a war of attrition. And Golden State's taken some shots that are sort of out of their hands.
Yeah.
And it compounds things when they are taking moments for granted. So I think what's exciting now about this series, you know, when we said it really starts, so our trainer in Phoenix used to say things are getting serious. So as it gets serious now, we're going to find out how good this Golden State team can really be, and if they're healthy enough to get to that level right now, this is going to be really exciting basketball.
And I think what really happened tonight is I thought Golden State let Houston see who they could really be as a basketball team. And throughout this whole season, I didn't think Houston really came to the table with the belief that they could beat Golden State. Not only could they beat Golden State, but they can be this type of defensive juggernaut that we saw tonight.
Right.
I mean, everybody talks about, you know, their offense, but what I saw tonight from a defensive standpoint, their defensive stamina, their concentration, their mental fortitude, their attitude, and, you know, we used to always say, you know, mental is to physical as 4 is to 1. And their mentality tonight coming into the game was not to outscore Golden State, but to defend them and stop them, and I thought they did exactly that.
And that would be a seismic shift in the Mike D'Antoni coaching era, frankly. By the way, Klay Thompson told our David Aldridge tonight after the game his knee is sore, but he expects to play Game 5 on Thursday. But quick turnaround for these guys. We'll see if Andre Iguodala is available that night as well.